Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello. Today, I don't want to stream for a super long time, and I'm feeling a little tired of playing because I've been playing a lot lately. But I've been having pretty good results lately, and I'm testing some slight changes in the list, and I just have my headphones on for no reason, I just realized. I wanted to do a couple match reviews from my set of 5-0s that I've gotten. I 5-0'd again off stream yesterday, and I had one that I started to go over last stream, but I got distracted by Honorog's match, so I'll continue looking over that. So we'll look at the two 5-0s and then also do the league in between. There was a 2-3 that I want to look at because you can also often learn more from your losses than your wins, right? Okay, so I looked at this match last stream. This was the Eldrazi match. It's kind of already covered that one, so let's look here. So on the play against an unknown opponent, very reasonable Drumlin Vial hand. I know I started to look at this match too, right? Yeah, I covered. This was a 4-color loam, and they just had kind of a bad hand. Yeah, we already looked at that one. Here we go. Okay. So now on the draw, again, don't know who this is. Mulligan to this very medium 6. I think this is just show and tell. Oh no, it's the Paradigm Shift deck, right? So, obviously my hand was medium at best against a creature deck, and certainly not good against a combo deck, so just die. But this is a very serviceable hand. Fairly fast clock. Surgical is very minimal interaction, but interaction nonetheless. I decided to blow up their pedal with the Creator Maker. Reduce their ability to have free mana, especially with this Wasteland. So the reason so I blew up pedal in combat, so they weren't floating mana, and then I could Wasteland the Waterlogged Grove. And I surgical the pedals here. Because again, I'm just thinking I just need to keep them off as much mana as possible. So their hand is reasonable, but they're relying on this Ponder pretty hard to get anything going. Otherwise, their hand does actual nothing. And I get to see their deck. So it's funny because I played Badlands Bloodstained Mire last game. They sided in Graveyard Hate for Reanimator. This is also their only blue source. They're going to be taking additional damage. Draw another Matron. I think I grab Pile Driver here. Yep. So then I have 7 damage a turn. I'll actually just have lethal next turn with the second Matron, because I can Matron for Sling Gang. But they draw another Water Grove, and they play the Oracle as a blocker, which is good here. It doesn't block the Pile Driver, but it does block the Lackey. Draw a third Matron. So at this point, we're just grabbing War Chief. We just want as much damage as possible off of this Pile Driver. I'm okay trading the Lackey for effectively 6 damage. we just have unblockable lethal now off of the pile driver. 2, 4. We just have 7 damage off the pile driver and then 4 from the other creatures. Game 3. I think this game was pretty wacky. So I mulligan to 4? Yeah. Mulligan to 4. I keep Wasteland Vial, Lackey Blast. And they play Shelldock Isle. Draw another blast, play my Vial. And they brainstorm. They play an Oko and elk my Vial. I'm like, no. Don't draw a red source. I just swing at their face. I figure Oko's not going to make an elk next turn, and if it elks the lackey, then I need, Grenzo can maybe deliver me some triggers that can get me petals, or if I hit a land, it can hit me a cantrip or something. However, they have another petal right here, and the Thought Lash. See, I think they should have elked the. I think they should have elked the petal rather than make a food token. I draw the red land here though, and because Thought Lash, they can, like, if I blast the Thought Lash and attack Oko, they can just make sure the creatures don't deal any damage, and then I'm stuck. So I swing at their face again, and if they're gonna mill themselves for a whole bunch, this game's really goofy, like really goofy. So we get 2 Grenzo triggers, but we exile an Oracle, which I don't know how many of those they play, but if they only play 1 or 2, 1 I just basically win the game on the spot by doing that, and then 2 they have 1 to find. So upkeep okay, so I decide to hold up Reb here, and right, because I don't want to just die to them playing Oracle here. If I Reb and they have Oracle, I just lose because they can just deck themselves. So maybe I play it a little too safe here, maybe, but they end up just making food tokens instead of elking. So I blast the Thought Lash and they force, so that slows me down even more. And now I'm just like, well, I kind of just have to kill the Oko and then just outpace the Thought Lash. It's like this really awkward spot where they can mill themselves a whole bunch to fog me. So I decided to take out the Oko, and I'm just like, I'm just going to try to outpace this thing. And I'm just becoming a mill deck. My win condition is them decking. I get one Grenzo trigger. I hit a Thought Lash myself. Doesn't do anything. I wasteland their green source, so they can't cast another Oko. So down to 22 cards in library. They ponder, which is scary. So they have a random card and then a ponder. Their card they got off ponder. Get a chalice, which I can't cast. If they were to let Lackey through, then I could dismember. I could matron for Skirk Prospector and then Chalice on 2, which would probably just win the game. But I decided to just Chalice on 0. Just, I don't know. It was probably just wrong. I think I just played it just because I felt like the game wasn't going to go another turn. So they're down to 10 cards in the library. I keep getting scared because they're not exiling another Oracle. So if they do have 2 Oracles in their deck, yeah, I should have realized that Petals didn't do anything at this point. Echoing Truth, the Grenzo to deck less. I drew the land. So they don't pay. I think they forget. I think the opponent forgets the cumulative upkeep here. I think they're kind of dead no matter what, though, because I guess unless they drew Oracle this turn. But, okay, so is the bottom 3 cards were the other 2 Oracles? So I guess no matter what, they were dead, but it's a pretty hilarious way to lose the match, right? They just don't pay for Thought Lash and die. But if they did pay for Thought Lash, they would just die in their next upkeep, because the Oracle would have to be the next card. So, really goofy game. Just win by natural decking. Oops. And then we got my match against Newton. So on the play here, I know he's on Elves. Pretty reasonable, pretty good hand actually. You know, double Vial. We have 2 removal spells. Matron can find Chainwhirler. Pashlik is generally good against Elves, but I put Pashlik back because I figure Matroning for Chainwhirler is probably more impactful. I fetch out the Mountain just in case he's not on Elves, but he is. I think I miss on the... No, I draw the land here. So instead of playing the second Vial, so I could play the second Vial here, but I want to play the Crater Maker because I want to be able to activate Crater Maker and Vial into Expert next turn, and the Vial's going to be a little too slow. I also know he plays Collector Roof main, so it's a little risky. So more Reclaimers and a Symbiote. But here my line works out, right? And we draw a Gem Palm Incinerator, which is excellent. So I Gem Palm the Symbiote, looking for a land. Don't find the land. Get in for 2. And Expert the Reclaimer. Cuts him off of mana, and, you know, the fewer Tarmogoyfs I have to deal with, the better, right? We just Green Sun for 3. Yeah, he gets Leovold here. But this works out great for me, as long as I can draw a land. So Matron for Chainwhirler takes care of, Matron for Gem Palm killed the Leovold, and then he draws a card, I draw a card, and then I just need to find a land to kill this Reclaimer, which I do. And I got 2 damage in. He's down to just 2 Birchlore Rangers and has 2 cards in hand, so I feel very ahead at this point. So Green Sun for Visionary, I think. Yep. So he's trying to recoup card advantage, then plays out the Heritage Druid. Obviously, this is just like a pretty sick Chainwhirler, just actual Plague Wind. And now we have 6 power on board. Ringleader's coming down. Whiffs. But far enough ahead that it doesn't matter. I don't think there's any way he can win from here. With only 1 card. Once upon a time, finds a Reclaimer, and that's it. So that was game 1. Pretty lucky to win game 1 against Elves. It's usually pretty tough to do. Keep this hand. Basically, I know that Newton doesn't play Reclamation Sage in most of his lists. So this is turn 1 Lackey that might trade with a creature, turn 2 Chalice, and then if I draw a red land, turn 3 Chainwhirler. Expert's a fantastic draw. Just a Visionary. Passes Toss it back. I draw a non-red land, but still reasonable. Play the Chalice here. I just want to lock up as much of his hand as possible. And then I'm planning to expert the Visionary and then make the Lackey trade with one of his things. Draw Pithing Needle, which obviously is pretty awkward, but I kill the Quarian Ranger. At this point, I'm like only really scared of Natural Ardor. I maybe should have attacked there just to weaken Cradle. You got a Cradle off the Once Upon a Time, and you got a Quarian Ranger off of the other Once Upon a Time. So at this point, I'm willing to trade because I really want to weaken Cradle. I matron up another Munitions Expert because I want to kill this Dried Arbor. Maybe could have gotten Pashlake Bonds there, but I'm assuming his hand's just really locked up by this Chalice. Wasteland's fantastic. Kill the Arbor. Now I get to port the Cradle. Green Sun for 1 is looking like a Reclaimer. 3/4 Reclaimer. But this is a pretty scary pile driver now that is probably going to trade with Reclaimer. This Chalice is just like absolutely wrecking him. Now we can cast Chain Whirler if we need to, but I like Ringleader here for haste damage that pumps the pile driver. Again, whiff. Ringleaders were abysmal this match. But swinging for 9 off this pile driver, so he has to block it. So this is what I mean, pile drivers terminate. Crater Maker, more removal. Now we've got the game just very locked up. He just couldn't beat the Chalice. The Chalice was just like completely devastating that game. And then this was next, I think, final round. On the play again. Lucky me. That first hand was almost a keep, but didn't feel like... I don't know. Keeping decent hands in Legacy now is just like a recipe for disaster. This is good, though. Turn Vile, double Wasteland is pretty strong. So here's Hogak. So they therapied themselves, getting the Vengevine into the graveyard, presumably to go Stitcher Gravecrawler, get it back next turn, therapy me. Wasteland's going to put a dent in that plan for sure. So double Wasteland's looking pretty strong here. Play the Supplier. They hit a therapy. So they have got Bridge from Below. So they named Goblin Matron, which is obviously a good name by them. And they got a Swamp, which is also bad for me. But they do only have the Dryad Arbor as their other land. But they drew a fetch land and they hit a Bloodghast and they have a Bridge from Below. So this is the end. They have Double Vine. I can't even kill their thing because of Bridge. I just draw more Vials. So the therapy was really good. Good therapy name by them to just hit Matron. Keep this hand on the play. We've got turn 2 Chalice, which is very good, and then War Marshal can pop a bridge, Sling Gang can pop a bridge, Wasteland's good, Pile Driver is pretty good against their deck. They're not very good at blocking. So they therapy, I believe, name Matron. I can't check that. Alright. I believe they name Matron. Or Crater Maker. Drawing Grab is a little awkward, but immediately Force of Vigor, pitching Dryad Arbor. Play Supplier, Therapy, Vengevine, Gravecrawler. So pretty good turn for them. I realize I can't. I have to cast Sling Gang next turn, basically, so I can't afford to Wasteland them. So, take 6. Pyrokinesis, pretty great draw, because this Reb wasn't doing a whole lot. They decay the pile driver, which sucks, but happens. And I decide to take the risky line. My opponent only has 2 cards after the draw step. I decide to Kinesis right there because I really don't want them to just draw Hogak and be able to cast it. And so if they have a zombie in hand, I get Giga punished for this. But it feels like the highest upside line. So take out their green source so they can't hardcast another Vine. They have a Crab and they can mill some, but they're just hitting like Assassin's Trophies. Pile Driver's fantastic draw because now they're just dead. So we can still handle Bridge, so we just have to dodge double Vine basically. So they got a lot of fetch lands. So a lot of triggers off this Hedron Crab, which is terrifying. But because we do have Bridge from Below covered, they got 3 Venge Vines, but nothing to get them back with. So they would need... I mean, not even Bloodghasts would do it. I could sacrifice a Goblin to stop them from attacking, and then Pile Drivers hit haste and kill them, So, yeah. Oh, game 3. Pile Driver, very good against Hogak once you've stabilized the board a little bit. So game 3, I keep this hand. So I'm thinking Reb can kill the what's he's called, the crab. Can't counter a loot or the careful study, but you know if the Reb turns out to be dead, it's what we'll pitch to Kinesis. Skirk and Mogwar Marshal is very good. Trashmaster is very good. So Skirk, we've got Bridge from Below basically perfectly covered at all times. So nothing special off the Citrus Supplier. I draw Lackey. I still lead on Skirk here. I think Skirk is like very much better than Lackey in this matchup. They named Chalice, which is great. So there's a thing. It's like having that diversified sideboard really helps out, right? So they mill a Vine, and they take my Mogwar Marshal, which is pretty reasonable. Draw Wasteland, not doing a whole lot. Just pen my Lackey. So we've got Reb open if we want to counter something. Draw War Chief, which is great. I decided to Wasteland them because So here's kind of sick. You know, they had to Assassin's Trophy my Lackey, and so I Wastelanded right there, so that they'd have to do it in my main phase, and then I got the land from the Assassin's Trophy into play, and then I can just cast this War Chief. So that Assassin's Trophy like barely slowed me down whatsoever. And War Chief was just a great draw in general. So the decay of the War Chief happens. Then they've got all these reactive cards. We draw the 4th land for the Trashmaster too. So now we have Bridge covered, Altar covered, and we have a Pyrokinesis in hand. So a Careful Study makes it through the Reb. They got a Hogak. They have an Altar, but they don't have anything to do with the Altar yet. Draw Pile Driver, which is so good. Once again, Pile Driver, very, very good card. And with their 2 cards, they cannot put together a win through the Trashmaster. We've got a Pyrokinesis. So if they cast anything, if they cast any creature, I'd probably destroy the Altar, and then the Pile Driver swings they'd go to 1, I guess, if I had to sack a creature there. So if they cast something, if they had the creature there, I maybe have to hold off on the Trashmaster, and you know they can maybe mill something. I guess I let them, the first mill with the Altar doesn't really do anything because they've already made their land drop, so it couldn't be Bloodghast. So that was round 4. All right, here's round 5. And I think... can someone let me know if you hear any talking in the background? I just want to know how much the mic is picking that up, if at all. So, oh wait, this is limited. Whoops. Was that? No, I guess that was just the 5-0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. All right, so that was the 5-0. Finishing with GAC. Then played a little Modern Horizons draft. And then this was the stream. And then this was some more Modern Horizons draft. And then, okay, so I played another league. So I get paired against Bryant, and I'm on the draw. Round 1, which is obviously not what I want. This hand's like very good. It's about as good as we can ask for. The only thing better would be if we had a pile driver. Harry Selden, thank you for the follow. He's got turn 1 Witchclaw. So this is the game that I think if I was on the play, I would win this game, because we end up being exactly a turn too slow. Are you on Hangouts? That's funny. Yeah, because he gets me, the die roll gets me, right? And, because he goes for, he has Adnaz, just natural Adnaz here, right? Or a Dark Writ, and then Tutor for Adnaz. But he ends up going not quite low enough. His Witchclaw was pretty good. I mean, his Adnaz was pretty good. So we have 5 points of burn on the table, so we needed 4 more damage. But I'm just dead here. But, so, if I got to attack with this board once, then I would have won. And then game 2, I think I keep a bad hand. Like a hand I was definitely supposed to mulligan. Yeah, I think I keep this, which I'm just like... So this hand's awkward for a couple of reasons. One, it's like I'm playing turn 1 Lucky, and then I'm porting on turn 2. And so I'm still not holding up this Reb. So this Reb, I overvalued this Reb. Because I was hoping he'd like YOLO Echo, but I should have thought about the fact that I'm not gonna be holding up red mana for a while. So I just play my Lackey and then die on turn 1. Just turn 1 natural Adnaz, sure. I'm like, alright, you got me. But, I mean, this was a mulligan, I think. I've got... Like, I'm mulliganing to Chalice or Mindbreak Trap. This is basically 3 cards. And then... Those are definitely like the cards I'm looking for. I'd probably keep a hand with Pithing Needle for Witchclaw as well, though that wouldn't have stopped me that wouldn't have stopped him in this hand because he just had natural Ad Nauseam. So this was against 3 look 4. On the draw, they have a really nutty hand here. So this is like a Snow Loam basically. Yeah, Anthony, I played 2 traps for a while. They're really good against Tess, right? My Tess record's like under 40% at this point, but it's like, here, let me pull up my spreadsheet real quick. 1 sec. So Tess, yeah, I'm like 4-10 against Tess. Yeah, this is pretty bad. I have better Belcher record than Tess record. What the hell? That's just like, I just mold a Mindbreak Trap against Belcher. Yeah, Tess is just like way more popular online than it like quote unquote should be. And so I'm just not willing to commit the sideboard slots to like fix the matchup. Like, it's just like my bad matchup in the field, like, by a lot. I don't think anything else is as negative as Tess is. So it's just how it's going to be. So, I mean, if I'm specifically targeting Tess, then yeah, I can easily play 2 Mind Breaks, and it's just like fine. Mind Break's like a very good card still, so it's just a little narrow. The meta is like relatively fair right now, so I don't want to commit to narrow cards like that. Turn 2 Oko on the play is pretty hard to beat. Draw another Vial, which is fine. Attack down the Oko. His Decay into Bob. Matron for Munitions Expert. More Bobs. So I can jump on 1 Bob. Munitions Expert the Oko. And Uro comes back, and then game's just over from there. Loam plus Uro plus Wasteland is just like ridiculous. Like I can Caracas the Uro, and it just like doesn't matter because they can just Wasteland it and recast it. All in the same turn, just infinity mana. So can Chain Whirler the Bob, but they still are drawing 2 cards a turn and waste locking me, and they've Ooze, Oko, Bob. Yeah, just infinite stuff. So they had a really good hand that game. Turn 2 Oko on the play into multiple Dark Confidants into Loam. Yeeks. Pretty medium 6. Yeah, Uro's like pretty disgusting. Opponent has a much slower hand this time. We got double Vial active. Turn 2 Dark Confidant, much less scary. I let it resolve. I don't go Matron for Expert because I want this Matron to find something more valuable. Port the Scrubland. And they flip a Plow off of the Dark Confidant. Chain Whirler, I'm fine with this eating the Plow. So I just pass with Port and Crocus up, and then I have Vial for my Critter Maker. And they have Knight. It's only 3/3 though. So I Matron for Ringleader. Alright, hold on. A lot of things happen that turn. So Matron for Ringleader, draw 4 cards. Attack. Crater Maker plus Chain Whirler kills the 3/3 Knight. They have the Uro, Cabal Pit. Then I draw like the best card ever versus Uro. Which is Relic. So this is like just an amazing Relic because they don't have Threshold for their Cabal Pit now, and they don't have their Uro. And we're attacking for 5. Or 6. And we draw Jump Palm so we can kill a Knight. You know. So now we just have like infinity pressure. And we can kill it. We can even win through a Plague Engineer here. It kills the Matron, that's it. And then we Jump Palm and kill them. So top deck Relic was insane there. This is actually a very good hand, right? We've got Wasteland Port, all 1-drops. We can Wasteland Port freely. Relic handles a lot of their threats. We have Mog Fanatic that we kept in. So against Loam, on the play, I don't keep Mog Fanatic, but on the draw I do, so I can handle turn 1 Dark Confidant. Just show how I sideboard. I shaved a Ringleader, because I really don't think this matchup is so much about grinding that much, even though Ringleader was great last game. The 2 Relics came in, 1 Surgical came in, shaved a couple Lackeys, because of Plague, 1 Pile Driver, and then Gem Palm is like pretty slow, especially on the draw. So they have turn 1 Bob, so we have the Fanatic. War Marshal is a good draw. The Wasteland me, it's fine. I played Cavern there over Badlands because preserving a red source matters. Play my Lackey, gets decayed. Cabal Pit pass, so they're down to 2 cards. So they were really leaning on that Dark Confidant to be proactive. So I'm holding this Relic because I really don't want it to get decayed before they play an Uro. They're just playing land go. Don't pay Echo. Just decide to really aggressively go after their mana here because their 4-color Loam has terrible mana, right? So because I have this Relic, I know I don't actually need to deal with this Cabal Pit that often, or in a lot of spots, so I can attack for 2. And then I Creator Maker their Mox, and so they're down to just a green source and a black source. And so they play a Trop, and they don't have anything, so this tells me that they either have a Knight stuck in their hand, or just nothing. And I know that they can't really afford to activate this Cabal Pit, too, because then they're wastelanding themselves, and we have a Port in play. So the green Sun for Knight. So here I was really hoping to draw a land, so I could Matron for... I guess Matron for Expert doesn't actually do it. But the Relic, the sandbagging the Relic here, so I make like kind of a desperate looking attack. I could have attacked with all of them, but then they probably just block a 1/1, so I go attack for 2, and like, I don't know, I think this is kind of a forced block, right? I think they might die to Slangang if they don't block, right? They go to 9, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they go to 3 if I have Slangang in this spot. That's pretty scary. So they do block here. Maybe they weren't thinking about Relic here, but it walks into the Relic really hard. Pop the Relic, we draw a Needle, which is fine. I port the Trop. They play a Bob. We have Chain Whirler. So all our answers, and we draw another Relic, which is just icing on the cake, right? So the combination of the mana denial plus our answers lined up really well. We have the Mog Fanatic for the, like, no Dark Holophant triggers were given, and the Relic let me kill the Knight, which was a 6/6. I think if they got to untap the Knight, they very may well have won this game. So yeah, we Chain Whirler with the Bob, they concede. They would have gone down to 8, and then we play Ringleader. So 5, 6, 7, so they go to 1, and then they can't tap this anymore. Okay. I think at least I've lost my last 2 Miracles matchups, I think, which has been very sad. Oh yeah, this one was just like pathetic, right? So this is a great anti-Miracles hand, right? With double Vial, double Cavern, and a Ringleader. It's a little slow, but normally that's fine. Draw into second Ringleader. They play an Ice Fang. Play Teferi, bounce my Vial. Annoying, but okay. And then we Ringleader and draw 0. Just flip 4 lands. I'm like, okay, well, we got the second Ringleader. Maybe the second Ringleader will get me something better. Ringleader, 3 lands, and Goblin War Chief. And they have instant speed Council's Judgment. We kill a bunch of stuff, and they get to instant speed Savine's Reclamation back there to Teferi. So this is kind of like why I shouldn't attack Planeswalkers, right? This is why I say not to do that. It just bought them so much time. And they just hardcast Terminus. And I'm basically running on empty. Narset. Just found a Brainstorm. So I kill the Narset. They play Uro, Astrolabe. I draw a Lackey, which is pretty abysmal. They plow. Like, the game's just over. Like, the 2 Ringleaders basically stone cold whiffing on me back to back was incredibly unlikely, but that's what happened. And then game 2, this hand's like pretty decent. Draw land, which is nice. Just hold up our Expert and our Reb. More land is fine. We Expert the Ice Fang, which may have been wrong, but gave me something to do with my mana. So they flash in Containment Priest, which kind of sucks. So they get an Uro. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I boarded in 1 Relic. Which I'm undecided if that's good or not. So and then I Ringleader, and I again hit nothing but 1 Goblin Lackey. Just these Ringleaders were so bad. So they Teferi, and I red blast it because I have to, and then they play another Teferi. So I learned my lesson. I just swing face. Play an Uro. We have red blast that we can do. It's going to stall out here. I think I grab War Chief here, and then they just Wrath me again. Alright, something's messed up here. Yeah, alright. I think they had, they just drew, like, I just couldn't... Oh, they had Force of Will for the Reb, and the Uro took over the game. So, really bad ringleaders basically lost me that. Not sure there's too much to say other than that, but Uro is very scary if it gets going. So I think I'm definitely boarding in one relic against Miracles now, maybe more. Very reasonable Vile hand here. A little clunky, but my opponents, this is Maverick, and they just have the hate bears that don't matter versus the hate bears that do matter is kind of the game here. So Scrib Ranger's okay. We draw Jump Home, which is excellent, so I can kill the Scrib Ranger before it does anything ridiculous. Ramanap, getting wastelanded. It's fine, we get Vile. Expert, kill that. So I get to save my Matron rather than having to Matron for Expert. Thalia, this is a pretty juicy Chain Whirler. Just kill everything except the Gaddock. And I don't even want the Gaddock to die because it's shutting off Green Sun Zenith in their hand. But I mean, at this point, I would just attack with everything, and I just overwhelm them with force. Because any Green Sun would be for 1 or 2 if they had a land, and that doesn't matter, and then we have double Ringleader, so pretty easy win there. They just had the wrong half of their deck, basically. Somewhat slow hand here, but I keep it off the Pithing Needle into Mogwar Marshal, which looks pretty bad here. Thalia is fine. I wasteland them because I'm thinking, you know, maybe I can just keep them off of Green Sun. They have a Cradle, which is scary. I really don't want them to have Cradle, so I just waste and import them. Trading damage, and then they play a Knight, which is pretty bad for me. So I have to Needle the Knight. Or I need a Wasteland because I'm just like, I cannot get Wastelanded ever if I'm going to win. They have a Wasteland in hand. And then they have Holy Light. I just get wrecked by Holy Light. We draw more creatures, and then they have a Plow. So, got wrecked by Holy Light. Didn't expect that one. So, if we had a couple turns of chump blocking, we definitely could have overpowered this. Like, we just have infinite gas in our hand. We just Matron from Mogwar Marshal, fog them for a couple turns, and then eventually draw land or play Trashmaster or Chain Whirler the Thalia or Matron for Sling Gang, and then kill them. They're at 7. They took a lot of damage off the library. So, watching out for Holy Light at this point. Very good hand here. Double removal spells, War Chief, War Marshal. They plow the Skirk, which is pretty good. Very reasonable by them. So, Fnatic the Mom. Fnatic doing his job. They run out a couple things. I jump home the Hierarch out of... I have the idea that keeping them off mana is the best thing I can do. And we have a Crocus for the Thalia as well. So, War Chief Crocus is great here. They play a Knight and an Arbor. We draw a Relic, which is awesome, but we don't even need it. We can just jump home the Knight. We draw an Expert, so we still have a red card for Pyrokinesis. But again, don't even need it because we just have enough Goblins on board to Expert the Knight. Put them to 2. And then they have Holy Light again. Wiping everything but the War Chief, but do not have the answer to the War Chief. So pretty good game for us, right? We got the Fnatic the Mom, which was essential. We got to get a lineup to jump home on a Knight and a Hierarch. We've got to Crocus the Thalia. We got to Expert a Knight. Like, we didn't even need our pyrokinesis. We just got to keep up card advantage the entire time. We were just up on cards until at every turn, every exchange until the end, where they got to mini wrath us. But keeping War Chief around was good enough. All right, so I think that was a 3-2. And then some more magic. Tyler the Memer. So this is D&T. Drawing Prospector was great there. Let's play Revoker on Skirk, which is fine. I'm just like, I gotta get rid of Vial asymmetry. So I Crater Maker the Vial in their upkeep, so they don't have Mom. They wasteland me. Drawing Jump Home was great. So Matron for Ringleader, because now I feel like there's no way they can keep me off this Ringleader forever. Because we're gonna, so even if they wasteland me, we can still play Lackey and then be able to Jump Home this Revoker, and then Skirk will let me cast the Ringleader on the following turn. And they do have Mom and Deport, but I Jump Home the Mom. We play a Pile Driver. Pile Driver is actually like pretty good on this board state, where he's usually pretty bad against Death and Taxes. Recruiter grabs Jailer. I feel like they probably should have gotten a Mom here rather than Jailer, but maybe they just felt like they had to get some sort of infinite card advantage kind of thing, but it's going to be difficult to Jailer me from here. So we Ringleader, we Dissaver Expert. They do have Plow, so now this makes sense, right? So they trade off everything, and they're going to slam Jailer. But we do have Haste, which is a very good keyword. So I go for Ringleader here. So I make some weird plays here. So I draw 4, which obviously is just insane. And I want to get the Monarch back. So I attack with both. And they block the Skirk. And what I should have done, I should have let damage resolve. And just played my Vial. And I play into Plow really hard here, basically, is what happens. So I sack the Skirk, and then I play Expert. I just had the feel, it's like, my opponent doesn't have Plow. They just don't have it. So I kill the Jailer, and now I have 2 creatures, so there's no way for them to get Monarch back. And of course I also just drew 4 cards off of Ringleader. One of them was a Chain Whirler, and then we just have like lethal with War Chief, Pile Driver, Expert. Like, that Ringleader was just like insane. So I played really hard into a removal spell there, which would have ruined me. But I mean, like, even if they, you know, I didn't get the Monarch back and my Skirk died for no reason, I would have Expert, and then I could go War Chief, Pile Driver. I'd have 1, 2, so yeah, I'd be able to play War Chief, Pile Driver, Expert all in the same turn. And so that probably just kills them anyway. So they would have one more, they would get 1 more card. And I wouldn't have the Lackey, but I think I would still win that game. Game 2. So blowing up the Vial obviously was huge. So this is a scary hand to have because it is very reliant on this Vial. So we're weak to a Revoker, but since they have a Vial, they're less likely to do that. And we also have Pyrokinesis to clear up a Revoker if we have to. that's a good way to put it. White Doomsday. Opponent has a Factory into Stoneforge, so looking a little scary. We get Sophie, which is definitely the scariest equipment. We do have a Crater Maker. Hit a land, which is nice. I want to induce them into putting the sword into play. So I can Crater Maker it. So I want to like port their white source, and then they activate Stoneforge for mana efficiency, and then we Crater Maker it. However, they do have a Mom here, so I am forced to Pyrokinesis. And I pitch the Mogwai Marshal. My logic being that I have a 1 and 2 drop, and I want the Jump Home pretty badly, even though I don't have a red source for it. Skirk is a red source, though we don't have a lot of fodder for it. This opponent goes to 2 on their Vial. I Vial on my Skirk. And they also missed their land drop, and we draw another port, which is amazing. Don't attack. They activate their Vial. I activate my Vial in response, and then I Crater Maker it. Or I wait to see what they put in, right? Because if they did have Revoker, then they revoke my Crater Maker. I think that's okay with the Jump Home in play. Hey, Gobnik. Oh, glad to see you're here. So they just attack with Thalia and stuff because they just are missing lands. They have that Stoneforge. I mean, the Sophie stuck in their hand. We have double port. At this point, I like don't really want to kill the Thalia, because it lets them cast the sword eventually. But since I had double port, I was like, you know what, this is probably okay. And drawing a card is really good. Took up to 3. We draw a Wasteland, which is awesome. Waste the factory. And now this game is a story of shitty 1/1 beats. Nothing else. So I think I just basically flood out here for forever while my opponent gets mana screwed. You don't often get to port waste D&T out of a game. Yeah, we draw a Fanatic, which is like fine, so we can answer a Mom now if they were to draw land. So again, shitty 1/1 beats. So they play a Vial, which is like pretty scary. It's basically one of their best draws. We draw another land. We are delvering them. So they waste a port, which is fine. Back down to 1 land. We draw an Expert, which is excellent. So we can actually... I decided to use the Fanatic for the Mom rather than use the Expert in case they play like a Stoneforge here. So they don't have a 2-drop, so they just have Flicker Wisp. And I Expert the Flicker Wisp. Get their land back, we draw land. So now we can hardcast Pyrokinesis. They apply the Lackey, down to 4. They go to 4, and then I guess they didn't have a Jailer, and they were just hoping to draw a Jailer. I don't know. Going to 4 there seems maybe accidental, but regardless, I think we would have to win there because we would get to hardcast Kinesis on whatever they cast, and then hit them down to 2, and then as long as we draw like a creature in the next 2 turns, then we'd win for sure. But it depends on what their hand was. Very reasonable anti-creature, anti-artifact hand. This game is pretty intense. We got the Fanatic for the Heritage Druid. I do hold it for a little bit to see if there's a more valuable target. Oh no, I thought I did. I guess not. Oh, that's a different game. Query Ranger, so I would have preferred to kill the Query Ranger, but if I waited, then they would have gotten mana off of the... That's actually interesting. Hold on. If I had held the Fanatic there, then I would have gotten to Jump Home the Quarian Ranger and then killed the Druid with the Fanatic. That probably would have left me in a better position. Screen Sun for Arbor, Once Upon a Time for Scavenging Ooze, which is terrifying. We draw a Wasteland, though. Get to attack. Wasteland the Arbor, because I'm like, they might not have another creature to go with their Cradle, so I might just be able to lock the Cradle off of doing anything. So the Green Sun for another Arbor. So that plan is kind of working. We get to Jump Home the Arbor again. They have Crop Rotation, which really sucks. But we do draw a land, so they play Visionary. So this is another interesting spot. So they're gonna have 3 mana or 4 mana with the Once they play the Ooze. So I think I play the second Crater Maker and port the Cradle here. I'm not confident that was correct, though. Yeah. Because I think they have another Cradle. That's what happens. Yeah. So that kind of ruins my plan. So I have to double Crater Maker this this Ooze, which is just like very inefficient. I just put a Lackey. And they have a small glimpse. They draw a couple of cards, which is pretty bad for me in this spot. Matron up Chain Whirler, so this is a good Chain Whirler if I'm not dead here. They do have Symbiote, Visionary, draw a couple cards. But we do get to wipe up a lot of the board. And we get to port them again. But they get a lot of mana here and a lot of cards. So they just had a really good sequence. Very fortunate. Draw another land. We don't have a Chain Whirler. We don't have a second Chain Whirler in the main. We have 6 mana. So I get in for 3. I matron up Expert because I have to kill the Symbiote basically, or else it's just going to draw like infinity cards with Visionary. And they go Visionary into Reclamation Sage, so they don't have anything. So I'm feeling kind of okay. Ringleader, hoping to find some gas, and I find a Sling Gang, so they're pretty close to dead actually. So like I just have to live for a turn here. And they play, and they just drew Natural Order, so it was really close. They had to be that turn because I think Sling Gang is just lethal with the Wog Marshal. Because this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I actually just had lethal, so it was very, very close there. Game 2. Reasonable hand, needs a black source, but turn 1 Fanatic does buy me some time. I think here I learn my lesson from last game and hold it. Play my Pile Driver. Play Cradle and another Heritage, so I'm like, okay, I kind of have to, so the Cradle doesn't tap for more mana. Draw a red source, which is amazing, so we can Chain Whirler. Even though it doesn't, it's just a 1-for-1, but this puts a lot of pressure on them. There's the Ooze. I think we draw the black source here. We draw Cavern. No, Pashik Mons. So this Ooze is going to be a problem. We get in for 6. We're reaching for another Chain Whirler, so we're just like, okay, I think we're just going to overpower this Ooze eventually. It's going to get big, but that's okay. They have small glimpse. But they can't keep going. Vial's pretty useless draw. So Ooze becomes real big. But I'm just like, if I draw the black source, I can still expert it, either off of first strike or it'll trade with the Pile Driver. So here's I draw the Cavern. And so I have 7. I can deal 7 to the Ooze. So attack with everything but the Matron. They decay the Pile Driver, which gives me the opportunity to expert the Ooze while they're tapped out. Oh right, they expert the Chain Whirler, and then I think they were thinking the Ooze would allow the Pile Driver to be ignored, but we got to kill the Ooze in response. So once upon a time for another Cradle. And then here we just have lethal here, right? They block here, take 1, 2, 3, they go to 4. Or I think if we played Pashik Mons, they were dead. Or very close to it. They go to 3, and they'd have a Dryad Arbor and nothing else. Game 3 is another very close one. So I keep this hand. It's a little awkward because we really don't want to pitch Matron to Pyrokinesis if we can help it. But Mindbreak Trap does help things. We draw Chain Whirler. Though it's probably not coming down for a while. So Visionary. So this is kind of an instance of why I don't really like Mindbreak Trap against Elves. It's really hard to get it to line up properly. Yeah, no, opponent is very low on time. So I Kinesis there. And I decide to play the War Chief here. And I Mindbreak... I Mindbreak a Symbiote. Because they're only on one card, so I don't think I'm going to get another opportunity to do that. So I go for the attack here rather than Wasteland Cradle. And I go for Sling Gang here rather than Crater Maker killing Quarian Ranger. I don't know if that's too greedy, because it ends up killing me. So attack with everything but the Sling Gang to avoid the Dried Arbor block on Sling. We Wasteland. And then they just have Visionary into Cradle into Natural Order. So I feel like I may have played... I don't know. Yeah, I'm also not a fan. So it's been suggested to me, and some people will say it's correct, but it was pretty mediocre there. The fact that it wasn't another red card for the Pyrokinesis, we had to pitch Matron. So yeah, we end up dying here. So if I had played the Creator Maker, attacked, killed the Quarian Ranger, and then like I maybe could have Wastelanded Arbor instead of Cradle. So they'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. They'd have 4 mana, but it wouldn't be enough to kill me because they would only have 6, 7. They'd only have 10 damage off of Hoof. And then we'd have Sling and Chain Whirler still in hand, so we draw Red Source Weekend, Chain Whirler, and then hold off the Hoof indefinitely, basically, and then Sling would do the same thing. So I took a maybe too aggressive line there, but it felt like they needed a very specific... They needed a very specific draw there. They had to have another Cradle, and then you needed to have Natural Order, and I think they drew it off of the Visionary. They had almost no cards in hand. I think they only had 1 card in hand. So I got punished, but I don't know if I played that incorrectly or not. Like hindsight's 20/20 kind of thing. It felt like getting the Sling Gang online was really good because it gets in for a couple points and it allows me to get pretty aggressive. Like, I'll draw a land, I can Chain Whirler, wipe the board, and then kill them. So, both losses were within a 1-turn window for them to find the Natural Order, and they did. So, that was pretty unfortunate. I was bummed about that loss. So I think this is a pretty strong hand. Play. So yeah, this is Thalia. This is White Eldrazi. This is one of our better matchups. Though Thought-Knot taking the Expert here is pretty annoying. Pile Driver's great though, because I just like smush them for a ton, and they decide to block the War Chief. So they just take 7 off the Pile Driver and then 2 from the Lackeys. So they just eat a ton of damage. They do have this Thought is very good against us. So it slows me down really a ton here. And then they have Lodestone Golem. So I still can't cast my stuff. Draw a Pile Driver that I can cast. But it's tapped. So we're just kind of in this weird... This is a really weird board state. They have a Displacer. They attack for 4. Still can't cast my my Matron because of the Lodestone Golem, but I decided to swing in because I'm like... So my thinking is they're going to block Thalia here, Lodestone here, Displacer here, and that keeps the board relatively clear. If they let Lackey through, they might be incentivized. They might want to let Lackey through. Like, one of the lackeys is going to get through because the pile drivers kill them. It is basically, so it's a swing for a lackey trigger, basically. We got Gem Palm, so we can finally kill this Thalia. Because I'm hoping to draw land so I can play this lackey. I draw another agent, which is okay. I kind of forgot about the Lodestone Golem as well. That was so I thought I could play my lackey. So he hit me down to 5. Draw Gem Palm, which is great. But still have to pass. Nobody can do anything. I draw land, finally. So, Gem Palm. I'm looking to draw Munitions Expert, which is why I tap the way I do. I don't think porting them matters. Draw 3rd Goblin Matron. So, we get in for damage this way. Lackey comes in, and then Matron grabs Expert, kills the Thought Knot. Draw a land, which is fine. So now we just have lethal. And if they had a blocker, we could matron up for another expert and kill them. So I think it would have to be specifically Thought Knots here to get them out of that. Game 2, Mulligan, no lander, and then keep the 6, send back a Cavern. They have another Mox Diamond start, but no 2-drop. So I'm thinking I'm getting Thought Knotted next turn. This is an interesting point as well. So they do have the Thought Knot, and I decide to let the trigger resolve. I don't Kinesis in response. My logic is, if I Kinesis in response there, and I draw a relevant card, then they just take that, and I have vials. I have 2 vials and nothing. I had a way to keep Displacer on the table in the first game. I don't think they did enough. They didn't have enough mana when they cast the Displacer. Because the Displacer just immediately traded with the Pile Driver. Pretty sure. Unless you're saying that maybe if they block differently, like they let Lodestone die to Pile Driver, and then I think it was Thought Knot on Lackey. Oh, we can check. That's what this game is. This whole thing is for, is to examine these things, right? Yeah. So their own Lodestone Golem kept them from having the Displacer mana up. And then they blocked. They had attacked with the Thought Knot Seer. Yeah, so this is the block they made. This makes sense, right? Because they don't want to trade. I think they want to keep, like, Thalia, obvious trade here because then the first strike, and then I think they prefer to keep Lodestone around compared to Displacer. I think that makes sense. I think either way, I think it would have ended up exactly the same, because regardless of what they do here, I matron for Gem Palm and kill the thing. Like, this was a Displacer, the Align becomes exactly the same. Oh no, I killed the Thalia here. Yeah, I maybe would have killed Displacer. Rather than Thalia. Because Thalia is harder to attack through. They maybe were concerned about a wasteland from me. Because if I waste their cavern, they can't activate Displacer without tapping Ancient Tomb. That could have maybe been a reason. Right. Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they may have made a mistake there, undervaluing the Displacer. So back in game 2, so I let the Thought Knot trigger resolve. They take the Crater Maker because I'm thinking I just want to draw any red card, and then it keeps me up a card more, and I do draw a red card. So I kill it. They play Chalice, which obviously does not do anything. Draw Sling Gang, which is fine. It's a little slow. So that Wasteland was really good, obviously. We just draw more lands. Pass. We're just generating. This is fine. We're just generating mana. Draw land. They have a Reshaper. Reshaper's pretty annoying here. Crocus is fine. Judgment, which is very annoying. Expert is fine. I don't want to kill the Reshaper if I can help it. I'd rather save this for a more relevant creature. But they have another Displacer or another Reshaper. I'm just like, well, I guess I kind of have to. They flip a Mox Diamond, which is obviously pretty bad for them. Draw another Expert, which is always fine. And I'm thinking I'm going to try to save this for the Thought Knot Seer that I'm expecting. So these vials sitting there, but not doing anything. Pretty awkward. They have a third Matter Reshaper, which really sucks. This card's like the most obnoxious card for Goblins to deal with out of Eldrazi decks. Everything else is clean 1-for-1 or 2-for-1. They flip a Displacer right into play, which is terrifying. Let's just terminate for our tokens. Draw another land. So we're flooding pretty abysmally. We've drawn 8 lands. 8 lands and 2 vials. Make that 9 lands. Take out a token. Thought Knot Seer, I have nothing. I maybe should have blocked the token there, but I wanted to set up something better with any possible draws. Pashlik Mons is great here. So Pashlik Mons plus Caracas. So I was trying to play around a removal spell. And I also wanted to be able to fog with Crocus Bounce. I think opponent swings with everything. So we Pashlik. I activate Vial on 4 to play around to bait Containment Priest, which is a card I was very scared of. So we go to blocks. They could have flickered my token in before blocks, but then I just sacrifice it, and it doesn't really work out for them. And then I sacrifice, make 2 goblins, and I think they should have flickered Pashlik. They should have. Oh no, that doesn't do anything. Never mind. It immediately returns. And they play Post-Combat Smasher, which is strange to me. I feel like I should have been dead there. I would have to block differently. Yeah, Post-Combat Smasher is really bizarre. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they were trying to hold up Displacer. So we activate Pashlik, ping the Smasher, make a bunch of dudes. So I go to 1 here, I think. And the reason I didn't Crocus Pashlik last turn. I wanted it in play already for the next turn, so I think I was hoping that I would be able to have it in play and then bounce Caracas Violet back in. But the way the combat worked here is I basically ended up losing my whole board, but I also killed all of theirs. Draw Jump Palm, which looks pretty sad now. I think I top deck Matron here, though. So top deck Matron, Ringleader, play War Chiefs. Now I'm like massively ahead all of a sudden, even though I'm at 1. So the Matron Jaha on turn 14 finally pulls us back into it. And then opponents conceding from there. We Ringleader again. Don't know what we would hit. But yeah. So I didn't Caracas that one turn because I wanted to have the Pashlik in play. Because if I draw a land, I'll have 8 lands, so I could activate. And that'll just give me so many blockers and so many triggers. So it was a close one. Definitely close games. Against Eddie on humans. I've got another pretty reasonable, mana heavy hand with removal spell. He's got a Vial. Plains Vial, unusual for humans. And he does have a Plow here for me, which I wasn't expecting it of humans, because humans usually can't play Plow. I decided not to play around Mother of Runes, and he just is a champion instead. Fortunate for me. So he attacks, definitely not blocking. I think I play this game, this match, not super well. I think I play it like really aggressively for like no good reason. So he gets a Kite Sail here. Flash in Expert, kill the Kite Sail. Like he gets in. I think I just go to Trash Master the Vial, because I really don't want him to have Vial Supremacy over me. Thalia's fine. I draw my own Vial. I just Ringleader, only hitting a Crater Maker, which is pretty unfortunate. Getting for 3. He's got a Mom. Fanatic is great. Lets me go War Chief Fanatic. Kill the Mom. No attacks from me. This champion's getting a little out of control. But we might just be able to absorb it based on how wide our board is. We got a Mother Mom, so we're saving. Yeah, so I played this really aggressively, I think. Yeah, so I opt to trade Ringleader and Cratermaker with the 5/5 champion, which I think was pretty clearly wrong, unless I happen to draw a removal spell on this turn. And I do not. So I really regret my line there. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? So I got aggressive again. He double blocks. And there's this weird visual bug. I don't know if it's going to happen in the replay. No, okay. So if you check my Twitter, there's this... there's a picture of... When that exchange happened, these two creatures stayed on the board for me. They also went to the graveyard, but, like, their pictures remained on board. It was really strange. Should have ported Plains there, I think, but... More Thalias. Expert, fine draw. So if we can find another removal spell, we can get rid of this Mother of Runes. Again, should have ported Scrub Land in case of like main deck Plague Engineer, I think. So he's Jailer here. Yep. Takes out my War Chief. And we expert the Mom to try to, if we draw another removal spell, then we can get the Monarch back. But I don't think I do. Not fetching here because the Ringleader has a bunch of lands in the bottom. We draw Sling Gang, though, which is like pretty reasonable. So we kind of wasted our expert, but at least it's there. So port the scrubland. He's got a champion. I think we draw a matron here. Ringleader. Okay, yeah, this is just like kind of god tier ringleader. Jackson Parks, thank you for the follow. Ringleader finds ringleader pile driver. Pile driver's pretty poor, but I think I just swing in because I'm just like, you know what? I want to get the monarch back, and I have a sling gang in play, so any damage is damage. So sack what's blocked unprofitably, and then he uses the mom to protect the champion, which is fine. I sack again. This is a 10. And then he goes to 8. I get the war chief. And I decided not to play the pile driver there. So this is like, I get really lucky. I decide to play I don't play the pile driver. Because like if I draw expert, I have 1 expert left, and then I have 2 gem palms in the deck, and I have 4 matrons, right? And so if I find matron or any of those cards off of the or chain whirler off of the monarch trigger, I can kill the mom. So I find the matron, and I matron up expert or I make jump palm to kill the mother runes. So now we're massively ahead all of a sudden. Yeah, it was super greedy. But I mean, like, the cost of not playing pile driver there is not very high. Like, the pile driver's going to have haste anyway, because the war chief, he doesn't have very much, humans doesn't play very much removal, even though he probably has a couple plows in his deck. I'd guess like 3. It felt like a relatively low cost move. So I just take the damage here. He gets monarch back. It doesn't matter, because I just bring leader. Yeah. So I just have lethal burn. Game 2. Another pretty reasonable hand. Skirk into expert. Second expert's great too. Dark Confidant. Draw War Chief. I kill the Bob because I'm just like, I can kill a 3/3 champion next turn as well. Would have been a decent chump blocker to keep the Monarch. I just didn't think it mattered because he was tapped out. He would draw a card at the end of his turn. Like what's the point? I just don't think it. I just knew that I had lethal on the following turn, so his attack just didn't matter. There's no way he could kill me. Like, I was at 20 or had a lot of life and a bunch of life gain on board. So I was basically hoping he'd only be able to play 1 creature here, I think. So Lieutenant punishes me pretty hard here, because now this champion's pretty big. So I decided to play War Chief because I'm like, I gotta accelerate my own game plan. And he's plow for the War Chief, which sucks. But we've got matron in hand. We've got an expert. We're doing okay. Thalia. I'm a 9. Lackey. Not great. So I just decided to pass and port the Black Source. Maybe could have ported that to Caracas, but freebooter is fine. Doesn't do anything. It's just a 1/2 flyer. So I kill the lieutenant now before it can get out of control. So I chump blocked there because I was just way too much damage because the flyer would kill me. We draw Sling Gang, which is awesome because it just flips this race completely. Matron up Ringleader first, yeah. I'm just like going after his mana here. Recruiter. Finds Plague Engineer. So I'm like, oh boy. So now I'm like, I have to port him for the rest of the game, basically. And I'm jump blocking I'm in the Abyss as well. Expert's great. But I sack Matron to be able to cast the Ringleader this turn in order to continue porting. We find Pashlik, Crater Maker, Matron. So we, again, have tons of gas. We just need to survive. Maybe a bit of a greedy attack here. But I'm sacking the Ringleader to port anyway. So I also make a big mistake there. I should have ported the Crocus like 100%. Because the Crocus shutting down Pashlik is like very real. So block with Skirk, go to 1. Drop Pyrokinesis, which is like big deal. big deal. So we get our Sling Gang into place. Now we've got a bunch of chump blockers. And realize my lesson. Port the Crocus. He does a Plow. So I go to 2. So attack with all. Pitch the Expert. Wipe everything. Chump block the champion. And then I should have Lackeyed pre-combat, I think. Yeah, Moto's doing something funky. Yeah, I think I put in 99% sure I put in Matron and then cast the Crater Maker. Yeah, Moto is broken. Let me see if I can get back to that. It's a long game. I just want to get back to that one turn because it was pretty interesting what to do there. Oh right, I boarded out a Sling Gang in this matchup. Yeah, so I didn't have a second one to get with that Matron. Okay, so it's on this turn that it's messing up. Matron for Trashmaster, right. So I figured I wanted an answer to Plague, and I wanted to clock him pretty fast, because I didn't have the reach of Sling Gang. So he just passes back, he plays a land, plays a Mom. The replay system isn't super consistent. It just does wrong things sometimes. So now I just get aggressive a little bit. Or I think about it, then I don't. Because I needed to kill the Mother Runes or else I just die. And now I don't need to port because I have this this Trashmaster. The Pashlik Mons basically gives me lethal here. I can just attack with everything but the Trashmaster, and then sacrifice, make 2/1/1s. So basically, if my stuff dies, then he just dies to the Pashlik triggers. I guess he could, if he could. I guess Caracas. I guess if he had Caracas Plow, I lose that game. Caracas Pashlik Plow Trashmaster, I die. I have to be specifically that. And it'd have to be that turn because, like, even if he could somehow live for a turn, Um, I can wasteland his Crocus, and then that's it. Alright, so that was against Eddie, and then... So I think this was a 2-3 or 3-2. Another very reasonable hand, and I get turn 1 by Tess. Yada, yada, yada. They go to 1 off their ad nauseum and then kill me. Feels bad, man. Keep a very medium hand without any hate. And they wish for Echo and pass the turn, which is like really strange to me. And we draw Reb, which is just the best thing possible. So Skirk lets us hold the Reb, and we just blast him out, and that's that. And I think I get turn 1 again. Oh no, I mulligan to 4. My 7 was reasonable, but it had like a Chalice and then like nothing else. Yeah, I don't think this is a keep against Tess. I don't have any mana denial lands. I'm playing a Vial, and then like I have a Ringleader on turn 4, and by that they're probably gonna be able to deal with the Chalice. No, the other hands were close to keepable, I think. Mull to 4, have a Mind Break, and then they Thoughtseize me, and then I think kill me on turn 3. Or turn 4. Yeah. So I could have Crater Maker the Mox here, but I felt like it reduced my clock too much, but then they end up just hard casting Ad Nauseam. And their Ad Naus almost kills them, but they find the Petal. Second Petal. Yeah, so if I blow up the Chrome Mox, I maybe get another draw or 2, but then I have no clock. Unless if I drew Matron there, then I would win this game, but I'd have to top deck Matron. So yeah, not too much to say about that game. And then this was Mull to 5 against Miracles, yeah. So another Miracles loss that felt really bad. File Resolving was nice though. Draw Ringleader. I think Ringleader craps out on me yet again. Got Ice Fang. Put in Prospector because it's more relevant than Lackey here. We draw Matron, which is nice. So play my Lackey out. Yeah. Yeah, I could have blown up the Mox they were going to imprint. Yeah, I should have done that. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I could have lived for a turn and then gotten another draw step. And I guess if I draw like Chalice, Mind Break, Scott Thoughtseize. Yeah, they had exactly 5 mana to cast Ad Nauseam, so that was actually pretty obvious what they were doing. Yeah, that would have been smart. Matron. So I think Matron for Gem Hum was a mistake here. I was too eager to get in damage, and then I get Terminus. I think I should just passed and then held up Matron for Chain Whirler to clear the Ice Fang. I think that mistake basically cost me this game. We get really close though. So Sling Gang, try to get some board presence. Another port, attack for 2. I should have... Yeah, so I was playing on Mystic Sanctuary so they can Terminus me again. And then I make this big mistake of game, please, chill. So in response to the Terminus trigger, I sack my tokens, and then I realize they haven't actually cast the Terminus yet, which is just like such a huge deal, because now they just don't need to cast the Terminus. Yeah. And so that's like such a feels bad, and it costs me the game, basically. They have Snapcaster here to brainstorm and put the Terminus back on top of their deck. Yeah. So basically they got access to one more Terminus than they should have. I guess it's notable if I had a Black Source here, I would have killed them, because I could just cast Pile Driver, Expert, the Snapcaster, and then Sling Gang kills them. So we kind of lost our mana to some extent there, and then they have Jace. And then another Plow. And now with both the Sling Gangs gone, I don't really have a path to victory after yet another Terminus, because again they just had an extra Terminus basically. Yeah. So spending the Matron badly and mana issues, not having a black source, and then sacking the tokens to the Terminus that before it was actually cast, all were mistakes that added up to cost me this game. They got to 2 life. They went to 1. And then I just get Fate Sealed out of this game. I had a couple live draws, like Chain Whirler or Matron for Chain Whirler would probably win. But with Oko, they have life gain, and so I can't win from there. It's definitely some significant mistakes that game. Keep this very medium hand, just because double Matron's really good. Pile Driver's good. Pile Driver does a ton of work this game. Matron for Magua Marshal, because I don't have the 4th land for Ringleader, so I don't want to get a redundant Ringleader. So get forced, hit Oko down to 2. They make a dude. We draw Jump Home, which is awesome, so we can Matron Jump Home, kill the Elk, kill the Oko, and they can't. Pro Blue can't block with Ice Fang. Elk again. I think I draw the 5th land to Matron for Jump Home. Yeah, draw Cavern. Kill the Elk. Kill the Oko. This Pile Driver's killed 2 Okos basically by himself. Now I'm just like, I don't need to commit any more damage to the board. But since they spend some cards there, I go for it. Play the Pashalik. Elk the Pashalik is fine. Ice Fang's pretty annoying there. But Pile Driver just continues to be really good here. So we get to Ringleader, find Sling Gang, so swing at their face. Elk has to block the Pile Driver, and then the Sling Gang off the lackey kills them. So Pile Driver traded with an Elk, and then the other one was kill 2 Okos and get Source of Plowshare. Very, very medium hand. Reb makes it okay. Just nothing proactive. Reb the Oko. Draw Cavern, which is fine. Play the War Chief. To Fairy Bounce it is annoying, but fine. Ringleader only draws Expert, so another bad Ringleader. Then they have Uro. And this, given how little I've been able to do proactively, I cannot really beat an Uro. And the Astrolabe makes it so that... So I could have tried to go after the mana a bit more and like Crater Maker the Astrolabe, and then ported. But then I wouldn't be able to wasteland them, so I don't think it actually works. But yeah, from here I can't beat Uro. Don't have my Caracas. They have Plow. They're 7 cards in hand, and so at this point I'm just kind of going for a time win. They play a Mentor, and I can't even do that. We just draw another Vial, and it's just have nothing. And I think they just have like 3 Source of Plowshares here or something. Yeah. Astrolabe, Astrolabe, Astrolabe. Plow, Plow. So at this point, the only thing that gets me into it would be like, if I found Chain Whirler, I could maybe live for a turn. That's even pretty unlikely. Yeah, just draw Wasteland and die. That was a pretty disappointing loss as well, but Ringleaders were bad, and I had a really weak 6 hand there. Okay. So here's the second 5-0. I was feeling discouraged, but I was like, you know what? I'm really testing this list with 3 pile drivers instead of 3 crater makers, and I really wanted to see what it could do. Keep this very medium 7. Double port, double cavern is very good. This is Grixis Delver. So just trying to cut them off mana. This makes me think they're Storm. Drawing a Vial was good, but they force pitch force, so I'm like, okay, so this is Delver. Thankfully, they have a young Pyromancer here, not Dreadhorde Arcanist. I would 100% lose they play Dreadhorde Arcanist right there. So I get to take out that the Pyromancer. Very helpfully with the Munitions Expert. Port the red source so they can't cast a Dreadhorde. They do play an Angler. Down to 2 cards, though. Play my Pile Driver. I'm thinking, 5 damage a turn. I've got 4 damage a turn and can scale. So, port red. They attack for 5. They just might have cavern. They might have dazes and stuff that have been dead all game. Draw another land, which is obviously not great, but we get to hit them for 4. Pile Driver dodging any Brazen Borrowers that could happen. Expert also makes Brazen Borrower look pretty bad, if you want to bounce that. So we got Crater Maker plus Double Port. They can't cast a second Angler, so I port them down so they only have the Underground Sea. They type in at 9. But honestly, this attack doesn't even favor them at this point. We draw a second Pile Driver, which is insane. So we get to hit them down to 3. So I don't think they should have attacked last turn. But at this point, double Pile Driver is just going to kill them, unless they have Bolt Push. And they Brainstorm and then die. So I'm assuming their hand is just a bunch of counterspells and then threats that they can't cast. They couldn't cast a Pyromancer, they couldn't cast an Arcanist, they couldn't cast another Angler. So Pile Driver beaten Grixis Delver was pretty nice. Grixis Delver is usually a tougher matchup. Terrible 7, pretty good 6 though. This is a really tough decision on what to throw back. I tried Embercleave in Modern as a meme once. It's too vulnerable to counter magic, and red non-creature is not free. I don't want that in my deck. It's also not a Goblin for Ringleader, and my Ringleaders have been bad enough lately as is. It's they're either hitting 4 or they're hitting 0. So there's a lot to think about with this hand. So we have 2 vials. So it becomes a genuine question of, do we want to rely purely on a vial and throw back Cavern? Throwing back Cavern is the greedy play, but it could also be correct. However, on the draw against Delver, I decided that throwing back Wasteland was correct here, because even though it pairs well with our port, we don't really want to go, if I waste them, they waste me, then the port's not doing anything. And the Cavern is too valuable in the matchup overall to throw back. It also lets me cast Smog Fanatic on turn 1, which otherwise I would not be able to do if I have to. And they play Delver on turn 1, so I do kind of have to. Unless I'm okay, with them not blind flipping their Delver. Draw Gem Palm, which is a little awkward. Don't have a board presence, don't have a red source. But Fanatic uncounterably killing the Delver is huge. So they do Wasteland me and Brainstorm. It's a weird sequencing. Maybe they're playing around red last or something. So I play my Crocus to hold back the port, and they have a force for my vial. And they play a Dreadhorde, so I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm dead. believe we've talked about top deck pyrokinesis here. So they forced the vials. They probably don't have. So I tried to bait. I'm not playing around Double Days, so I try to bait an additional force with a second vial, and then I get pretty greedy here, and I wait for the beginning of combat in case they were to play a Pyromancer. I'd get to kill both the Pyromancer and the Dreadhorde here. Downside, they could draw a force here, or like a Spell Pierce or Hydroblast. It's a really greedy to wait there. Probably incorrect. Pyromancer I can probably deal with by just drawing a red source and then playing Matron and then gem palming it. And they have a Braid for the Vial, which really sucks. Draw land, and I jam into Daze. It's like last card's Daze, they got me. And I get Pashlik here. I get Pashlik because I want something valuable, something that generates card advantage. I can't afford to get Ringleader because if they wasteland me, it's two lands away. And it's very vulnerable if they draw a Daze, whereas if I draw a land, I can play this Pashlik behind, or through a Daze. And I have the Karakas to protect it, so it has value in multiple ways. So let's pass it back. I'll draw Crater Maker. I decided to run that out over playing my Pashlik because, again, I want to play this Pashlik on Daze. I know they didn't have it last turn, but they might have it this turn. They just drew nothing and passed, so it's not a threat. So I'm assuming that they have some sort of counterspell or 1-for-1 removal. And I would like to play the Pashlik around both Daze and 1-for-1 removal. Draw Sling Gang. It's fine. They push my Crater Maker. Now I'm just thinking, well, let's keep them from drawing a Gurmag Angler, so port the Underground Sea, they pass back, draw Pile Driver. Okay, I guess we'll play out our threats. I'm thinking their hand must be just 1 mana removal, so they have a Bolt for Pile Driver, so the reads are correct so far. So again, opponent just passing it back. I'm gonna draw Cavern. Cavern's such a good draw here. So I get to play out my Pashlik here and protect it with Karakas. And I go for Bolt, and I get to bounce it back. It's so good. Another lands. At this point, I know Port isn't really doing anything, so don't need to worry about it. I'm trying to insulate against Plague Engineer and not running out my Sling Gang too early. Sling Gang is the win condition. Opponent just concedes from there, because at that point, I can just start activating Pashlik, sacking, make 2 goblins, sacking, make 2 goblins, sacking, make 2 goblins. And then Plague Engineer wouldn't answer it. I have Karakas. Like, it's a pretty good locked up board state, and I have Sling Gang in hand, so I attack for 3. Cast Sling Gang, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'd be 1 point short of lethal with the Sling Gang, but over the course of 2 turns, they'd be dead. So Pashlik plus Karakas was really, really good. There's match 2 this league. Double Lackey Hand on the play with Gem Palm. Major Ringleader, very good. Some sort of Astrolabe deck. Drop Matron, or drop Ringleader, and then I cast Pile Driver here. That's going to block up on me, right? So I'm thinking this is either Miracles or 4-color Snow. It's like, you know what? Ever since Euro, I don't want the game to go super long, so I played. Oh, that's right. Wait, that can't be right. That can't be right. I'm pretty sure I played the. Oh. Yeah, this is just wrong. I played the Crater Maker. I played the Pile Driver, not the Crater Maker. I do jump on the Ice Fang, though. They just die, basically. The Pile Driver hits them for 5, 6, 7, 8. So they take 8 this turn, go to 11, and then Matron grabs Sling Gang, and they die. So, sorry the motor replay is broken on that one, but it's pretty scripted how the game plays out. Lackey connecting, putting in Ringleader, casting Pile Driver in turn 2. Tons of pressure. They do show me Underground Sea before they died, though, so I did know it was 4-color Snow, not Miracles. Very good hand here. I sideboarded 3 lackeys out, Mog Fanatic, Skirk. Trashmaster, I think maybe should stay in, but I don't feel like I see another cut for it because it is ultimately just a 1-for-1. The fact that it dodges Plague and blows up Astrolabe is decent, but 4-mana Lord is like pretty expensive and doesn't die to Decay, but does die to Plow. I don't know. It just seems really mopey to me. Brought in 1 Surgical and the 2 Relics and 3 Rebs. Cut a Wasteland as well. I was very scared of Uro. So turn 1 Ponder. I get really lucky here. I draw my 1 lackey in the deck on turn 1. Which is like just the actual perfects, right? Because I don't want to draw a lackey any other point of the game. However, I still lead on Vial here. Because it's so good with this curve. It's like turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Pile Driver, put in lackey, turn 3 maybe Matron for like Sling Gang, and then expert their blocker. Drop Port, which is even better. My opponent has mana issues. I intentionally... I whiff on Ringleader again. This is like my 4th Ringleader whiff. I intentionally port the island rather than the Trop because porting... When your 4-color Snow opponent has a basic and a dual and nothing else, I think it's correct to port the basic rather than the dual because of Astrolabe. They can't cast Astrolabe off of duals. So the basic actually threatens to generate a wider array of mana and gets a card out of their hand that cycles. So they Snapcaster Ponder here, trying to hope that they draw the 3rd land, and I think they whiff. Yeah, so the Snapcaster just a 2-1, and this Pile Driver just absolutely going to ruin them. So leave Vial on 2 so I can Matron pre-combat. But I draw Sling Gang. I basically don't want to have to tap my mana ever, so I can continue porting. So that's why I left the Vial on 2. So they go to 10. Now they're just dead. There's no way out from here, because they'd have to deal with both the Pile Driver and the Sling Gang and the Lackey for 2 mana, which just is not doable. So cast the Creator Maker pre-combat, so I can swing with everything. I don't have to care about a blocker. I believe it Decay for the Pile Driver. Yep, that just does not matter. So just overwhelm them very quickly, both games. So I do think we're very solidly the beatdown in that matchup. On the draw here against Hogak. Opponent lootings 2 very good looting targets, but they do... So my hand is pretty good, honestly. They whiff on lands. They play as Stitchers and just pass. So I'm like, okay, we got a chance. And I draw Wasteland, which is insane. So they have no lands. The attack there was probably bad, but it doesn't really matter because I could have just experted the blocker. Put in Sling Gang so we bridge from below, permanently shut off. And they just don't have a land and die. So pretty free win there, just the Wasteland free win, as Wasteland does. Pretty solid hand here. Relic's a little slow against Supplier, but we do have Caracas. Draw Rev is alright. So I play out my Relic. Start exiling stuff. The trophy. I decided to let it resolve because I want the land to get pulled out with it, so I can actually hold up Rev this turn. And I get to blast a Careful Study because of it. So they would have had 2 less cards in the graveyard, and I would have drawn a card, but I think blasting the Rev was pretty good. So tap out for War Chief. Just attack Maybe should have attacked into the supplier with Lackey. That might be an alright trade. But they draw Altar here, and I think they just go for the Altar kill post-combat. Yeah. So they hit the fetch land and they hit Hogak, and then I just die because they found they hit bridges eventually. So died from a fairly unlikely board state, I feel like. But this hand's great, right? It's like they're going to be looking at Assassin's Trophies, Force of Figures, and like Abrupt Decays, and this hand can kind of run that over. Throw back the War Chief because we're going to be operating off of Lackey mana, not actual mana. So I want the Trashmaster to allow Lackey to continue attacking into X1s. I do have to Pyrokinesis this crab, which feels kind of bad. But Lackey into Trashmaster is great. Pitch the Expert because we can't cast it. Matrons and the Trashmaster are both more valuable by a lot. So Study. So they got a bridge in the yard, and we don't draw a land here, which is a big deal. Like if we got into Matron for Sling Gang right there, I think we just win on the spot, basically. But I decide, I'm like, you know what? My opponent, we have to answer this bridge. So I grab Skirk Prospector, just as our permanent answer to bridge. And I sack in my upkeep to enable me to continue porting them, which is a neat little play. So let's pass it back. We draw Crater Maker, which is pretty good. We're getting in some pretty hefty damage. So we get to drop in our Crater Maker, play Lackey. I could have Crater Makered the Hedron Crab. I was only really scared of Hogak here, so I wanted to save it for a black or green creature. But I get lucky here, and they play 2 fetch lands, and I just let everything resolve, and they just kind of whiff. Like they put a bunch of Vengevines into play, but they don't have. They have a bunch of Vengevines in the graveyard, but they don't have any ways to get them into play. Like they just concede. Like I'm sure their hand is Force of Vigor, and like Once Upon a Time or something. You know, just I would imagine it's multiple hate cards for my hate cards, or maybe it might be discard spells as well. And they hit the Bloodghast off of the last mill as well, which is pretty unlucky. 1 syllable, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so they would have gotten 3 vines back, but they are at 4, and so they would actually die? Or no, the crab would have kept them alive, and then they wouldn't be able to attack. They would have gotten 3 vines back. They couldn't cast. They wouldn't be able to afford to cast Hogak. But yeah, I should have Crater Makered the Hedron Crab right there for sure. In response to the first, or like probably in their upkeep, before they could play the other land, because it gave them way more outs than they should have had. And that was definitely like a very, very greedy play. I was thinking I didn't want to get rid of my clock, so I wanted to not Crater Maker the Crab if I could help it. But that was very greedy. I was just lucky that it didn't cost me. Here we got Rug Delver. I'm pretty sure it's Rug. Great hand versus Rug. Turn 1 Vial into port. We got 2 removal spells. Vial resolves. They play a Delver. I decided to port them rather than just Expert the Delver, because I think I can handle double threats. It's like Expert one thing, Jump Home another thing. We draw Wasteland, which is awesome. So we just Expert the Delver, waste them, port them. I play the Vial. Oh yeah, so I just decide to. I want to get my second Vial online as well. I can Wasteland my Wasteland. That's fine. Draw another Matron, which is fantastic. Here I Matron for Matron, I think. At this point, I'm thinking that they're blue-red, so the difference between 2 and 3 mana is very little. So it's not a big, matron for matron. Sorry about the noise outside. One sec. Sorry about that. So I was playing with their kid outside and rolling a little toy car around, so I just wanted to close the windows. So my opponent concedes to the matron for matron. Like, Delver can't really win from this spot. Yeah. Game 2. So I've sided for blue-red, not Rug. Seems pretty reasonable, though. Kinesis Vial, all basics if we want them. Turn on Delver. Swat Sway, thanks for the follow. Oh, we're so close to 1,000 followers. We're 997. So turn on Vial Resolve, which is awesome. Flip some Ponder, though. So I played Powder, I got Spell Snared off of Trop. I'm like, oh god, it's Rug Delver. We're taking a lot of damage off of our fetch lands. And the Flip Delver here. So it's looking a little scary. Play a 4/5 Tarmogoyf. Draw a Matron, which is okay. And at this point, I'm just jamming stuff. Can't play around days at this point. So they bolt the Pashlik in response to the Vial, which is fine because I still get to kill the Delver. So take full. I decided to jump block because I'm like, I don't want to die to. I don't want to put myself in bullet range that quickly. I could have Kinesis there, but it'd be really greedy to do that. Pitching Matron and just have nothing. Wasteland the Trop. So I think I'm taking a hit from this Goyf for a turn here because I need to. I think I need to Matron for Ringleader and then like find something to pitch to Pyrokinesis. Pyrokinesis is pretty awkward. I guess I could have. Nah, that doesn't make any sense. So I think the line I'm trying to set up is Matron for Ringleader and then block with Matron and then Kinesis to finish off the Goyf. Draw the 4th Mountains, alright. So I Vial... Okay, so little thing. I Vial first before playing my land because if I draw an Expert, I'll want to fetch Badlands. But if not, I do hit Expert Crater. Attack for 2. They bolt me. And I would like to avoid dying to bolt, so I'm like, do I want to crack this fetch? Do I, can I play around the 3rd or 4th bolt? If they've already used 2. And they don't attack with the Goyf. So this I'm like, I draw another Ringleader, which is great. So play my land. Ringleader again. Whiff. With so many Ringleaders, it's ridiculous. And I think about casting Expert. Is the Meadow going to bug out on me? Yeah, it is. Alright. Meadow's going to break. But so what ends up happening is I go for Crater Maker and then Expert the Tarmogoyf, and then they have Double Daze and then Rough Tumble to kill me. So pretty unfortunate loss from there. You know, the Ringleader whiffed, and then they had Double Daze and then a Pyroclasm. And because I didn't have a red card in my hand at that point, I lose. So I maybe could have done... They knew about the Expert, I think. So I could have... So maybe what the correct thing to do here is attack with both Ringleaders, and then if they block, Expert, and that would deal enough damage to kill the Goyf. And if they counter the Expert, then I can Pyrokinesis the Goyf. Rough Tumble was not on my radar, though. And if they and then they cast Rough Tumble, and then I'm on empty, and they have 2 days. They would have 2 dazes and then one more card. So it'd basically just be a top deck war. But I'd be at 3. It's Delver deck. I guess I'd have Sling Gangs and 3 Matrons left, so I wouldn't be drawing dead. So that was game 2. It's a close one. Game 3, I have this very solid hand, turn 1 Vial. They do the force for it, pitching Daze into turn 1 Delver. So I have to cavern out this War Marshal, I think, because I really want to Gem Palm. So now that I know the rug, I want this I want this Reb to handle Oko. So let War Marshal die, draw another land, which is good. Attack. Then Gem Palm their Delver. Draw Ringleader, which is nice. Play a 5/6 Tarmogoyf, which is pretty scary. So fetch out 2 Badlands. I figure if they're going to wasteland me, they're going to wasteland the cavern anyway, so. Hit Expert Lackey. So, not bad. Hitting an Expert's quite good here. So they ponder. I'm like, oh god, please don't Rough Tumble me. Please don't Rough Tumble me. So they have a wasteland, which is also pretty bad. And they attack in for 5. I take 5. And another Goyf. Another Lackey, though. Play with my Lackey. Play my Lackey. Should have done it off the Badlands, but... So attack with 1 Goyf. I take it. They pass. Draw a Ringleader. Expert. A Goyf. They have a Bolt. So I get to attack with everything. I hold back one more blocker. They trade with the Lackey, which is fine. They fetch and then play Oko. I Reb the Oko here, I think. And I get dazed, I think. So I have to block so I don't die to Bolt. Yeah, here's Oko. I think I should have let the Oko resolve and then... Yeah, so interesting question to think about. Are you supposed to let the Oko resolve to cast your Reb around a daze? You've seen no dazes so far. And the Oko is only going to make a food token. That's the only thing I can do that turn. Yeah. I think that's a mistake. Because... now I'm in a much tougher position where I don't have a clean answer to Oko. Draw a Cavern, so I would have been super rewarded for waiting, because then I can just rev the Oko, cast Ringleader. Cast Matron. So now I'm like, okay, I kind of have to kill this Oko with Expert, so I swing 2 at their face, 2 at Oko, and then I deal 4 damage with Expert. They have 0 cards. Goyf is now a 6/7. So chump block. Oh yeah, they exile days. The good call. They do it. There's 1 more days. So grab a War Marshal here, I think. Or Sling Gang. No, Sling Gang. Yeah, Sling Gang's way better. I thought about grabbing War Marshal for a long time because it is really appealing to just, stall the Goyf for forever. But Sling Gang puts me in a much more, getting War Marshal there is the play to not lose kind of line, because it's more mana efficient. I don't die to Rough Tumble. Marcel, you went 4-4 in the challenge? Sorry, dude. You had a good start, though. So I attack for 3... pass. And since I have 2 caverns, I'm not worried about getting wastelanded. But this puts me in a really, winning position. I ponder. Please, God, do not Rough Tumble me. Ponder again. Please, God, do not Rough Tumble me. They shuffled off of this one, and they didn't shuffle off of this one. So, again, blocking. Draw land. I wasteland the red source here first, so that they can't bolt my Sling Gang on this turn. So they have the bolt. They bolt the Ringleader. Because they would be dead otherwise, I think. They'd go down to 6, and I can kill them. Yes, it's a forced bolt there. So then attack for 2, down to 8. So I'm feeling really good. So they attack, block sack, sacrifice. They have another bolt. Sacrifice that. So they drew running bolts, but now I have exactly lethal. I'm at 10 still, so I have another 6/7 Tarmogoyf. But draw Pashlik Mons here. So I thought I had lethal, and I didn't. So I play the Pashlik here. I want to conserve the haste from the Ringleader. And this generates a lot of damage, just by itself. So double block.
Sorry, did not mean to open the door that loud.
It's okay. So they go to 4 off of the Pashlik triggers. And now I can just kill them with Pashlik triggers. I draw a Relic, which is hilarious, but not relevant at this point. I think I should have attacked... the only thing that gets me there is Stifle, so I think I should have played the Ringleader rather than activating Pashlik. I think... Yeah, because this line does lose to Stifle. Because they just stifle the Pashlik trigger. Oh no, there's 2 separate triggers. Never mind. Stifle would not kill me. Because they'd have to stifle the damage trigger to not die. And then the 2 tokens would block the Goyfs and they die anyway. Whew. So that was a really close one. Really close one. Then round 5. It's another 4-color snow deck. Very medium 6. No proactive plays for a while. My 7 and my 6 are almost identical except a Wasteland with a port, so my 7 was better against this particular deck. Planes go. I was like, oh, D&T. Now I'm thinking Miracles. Play a War Marshal. War Marshal's pretty good here. And I don't think my opponent plays this super well. Yeah, they mistap. So they should have brainstormed there, but they just didn't. Pay Echo here. Since their sweepers Dead of Winter, paying Echo is pretty free. Growth Thought. You mentioned during an early match you're the beatdown against Snow Control. You've also boarded 3 lackeys out against them on the draw. Take note. Is Lackey too fragile against their list? Even when you take the beatdown roll, would you board an Lackey on the play? Yes. Basically, too fragile. it does really, if it works, it really works. But they are a deck that plays Plague Engineer, 3 Dead of Winters usually, 4 Plows, Decays, Ice Fang. Like, it's really unlikely that Lackey gets there. And even though we are the beatdown in the matchup, like, it's just such a mopey top deck because the games do go long a lot of the time. Like, you can't help. It's impossible to, like, you can't base the game on assuming that these games will be fast. So I hold up Expert, and Teferi kind of punches that really annoyingly. But pretty good sequence for me here as I get to play my ringleader. Draw 4. All my ringleaders are draw 4s or draw 0. It's really funny. So kill Teferi, so now I'm very ahead. Oh, Moto, come on. Not convinced that's what actually. Yeah, Moto's broken. All right, cool. Let's try that again. I think it gets broken if you ever like started to tap your hands for, or tap your lands for one thing or another, and then didn't do that thing. Like, it gets confused. Oh man, that was a sweet game, but can't get the replay to work. But I mean, I'm very favored from this position. Obviously, I've got Matron that can get another ringleader. I've got War Chief for haste damage. I got 3 removal spells, 4 removal spells. Like, it's a very good spot for me. Game 2, mulligan to 5. Yeah. Cavern Out Lackey. Draw Expert, which is great, so I can kill this Ice Fang. Matron for Matron. So, if I'd gone for Ringleader there, I kind of expected them to have Plow, which is why I didn't play it pre-combat. Port the Plains. They play Dead of Winter. Ringleader draws 1. Play Teferi. Expert's alright. Trying to play around sweepers more. Trying to ignore Teferi, but I think I forget about the passive a little bit. They decay the War Marshal, bounce the token. So now I kill it. Another Dead of Winter. More ports. Start porting their fetches, and then they just have an arrow, and it's just like, can't. I needed to draw a Relic or Surgical right here. I draw a Red Blast, which, like, kind of sort of buys me time. Oh, they play Back to Basics, right? And the Red Blast does actually, like, save me there, but Sling Gang's good, but not good enough. I would have to draw Caracas on this turn, I think. And I draw a Goblin Lackey, so see, like, I boarded out 2 lackeys, and I draw like this late game top deck lackey was just like super, 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 super bad. Like, imagine if this was, I don't know, Trashmaster. Yeah, the game goes on a couple more turns, but opponent just draws infinity cards off of Uro. And as a Leovold, and I just draw another land. All right, game 3. Game 3 is super close. So I keep this turn 1 Vial, and then Relic. Relic really insulates me from a lot of things. Throw back Sling Gang. Maybe should have thrown back Jump Palm. It's not like I'm attacking a lot with this hand, and Sling Gang's pretty valuable. So I think I should have actually I should have thrown back the Jump Palm here. Eager cadets, exactly. Crocus is nice too, because now we have Uro covered on 2 levels. So even if they were to decay my relic. Draw War Marshal, which is nice. I Vial now to play around Containment Priest because I can jump home Containment Priest. Dead Winter, the War Marshal is fine. So the hand is just like super reactive, it seems. So I can Wasteland them, hit them for 1. I have this Matron. Matron grabs Matron. Playing very cautiously. Draw Sling Gang, attack for 2. Taking it very slow. Let's just keep going a little bit slower because I'm shooting through really fast. Put up Ponders. My voice is going. I got to stop after this last match. I'm getting sore throat. Put us to Fairy, which is very annoying here. Bouncing the Vial. Because I end up getting Matroning for Ringleader here, and I think I never cast this Ringleader in this entire game. I just think it never happens. So if I had Matron for Ringleader instead of Matroning for Matron, and then I'd drawn the Sling Gang, like, would have been a lot better. I just would have killed them, question mark? So now, but however, I'm like really confident in my ability to be proactive this game, right? Like we've killed their Teferi. Their Teferi. We have double Vials going up. We have a Relic and a Caracas to cover Uro potential. We have an Oko, which is annoying here. And I can't quite safely jump home an Elk if they have a Plow. It's really bad for me. So from this state, I think for a long time, and I decide I am not going to attack Uro, and I'm not going to cast Slinging or Ringleader until they're uncounterable somehow. So with Reb backup or with Cavern. Because if either of these cards get countered, I think I lose. So I decide to play very conservatively, and I also decide I'm going to ignore Uro this game. They're at 12. I have a Sling Gang in hand. So just swing face. I have a jump home for the first Elk, and they might be dead by the time that the next one comes down. So the Elk, their food. Play another Astrolabe. It was so tempting to me to jump home right now, but it walks into any removal spell. Also tempting to pop Relic there, but I think the passive exile of Relic is relevant. Another land, not very good draw. I think about jump homing there, and I decide against it. I just pass. It's very conservative play. So Ice Fang. I'm okay, so now it's something. I'm hoping that they Elk the Ice Fang, and then I can jump home in response very, very safely. I have a Teferi, which, thank God, jump home gets around that. So activate Vial, just see if they do anything. Maybe they have a Containment Priest. They Ponder. They Vial. They Elk my Vial. So now I jump home the Ice Fang. And I draw a Crater Maker off of the jump home cycle, which is amazing. So now we get to use our Vial. And I plow the Crater Maker and I blow up an Astrolabe. I pop the Relic to see if I would draw anything, because I'm still thinking, you know what? I've got this. I've got this Crocus for Uro, and they're pretty far away from getting 5 cards in the graveyard anyway, so blow up an Astrolabe. And they're in a very precarious position now. We draw the Cavern. So this gives me exactly lethal. So swing a face. Don't play Sling Gang first. Swing a face. They have to block the Elk. Take 5. And then cast Sling Gang uncounterable. And they'd have to fetch in order to plow. So even if they did have the plow here, they would die exactly. Super close match. Getting they answered all my vials over and over again with the Teferi bounce, which was pretty annoying. And this ringleader I matroned for never happened. But so if I had matroned for ringleaders that have matroning for matron and tickets before, I think I would have been in a better spot overall. But this did work out. So that was the 5-0 there. So generally we're doing all right we're doing pretty well against 4-color snow. I forget how I listed that match, or how I listed that deck. 4-color snow, yeah. 8-3 is pretty strong. It doesn't feel that good a matchup, but I think my opponents aren't playing optimally, most likely. So yeah. All right, I've got a sore throat now from all this talking. I'm gonna send you guys over to someone else streaming some Legacy. Honorog Jarvis are streaming. Oh, he's playing Lotus Box Tournament. I'll send you over to Arkin. He's playing the challenge still, and he's playing that Ephemerate deck. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We're at 997 on followers, so if you are not a follower, I need 3 of you to follow in order to hit 1,000. 3 people. So please give me the follow. We can hit that milestone. It'd be really great. And I hope to see you all next time, sometime next week. And I hope you enjoyed the stream today. Follow me, Twitter, YouTube. Check out the Patreon if you want more exclusive Goblins content. See you guys next time.